Yeah, and that's what somebody told me the last time. So we're live now, and with JC and Pat. For those of you guys don't know them, and this was just announced yesterday, right? That you now officially sold Sales Boost. Which congratulations. And as we get going, guys, give us a second. We got links to share everywhere because there's many people that were asking to see this. So bear with us as everybody's throwing some links out there. Let's see, copy link. So I'll put this in the group chat for you guys. This link to mine. And then I'll throw this in friends and some other groups.
Well, happy Tuesday, everybody.
Yeah. Glad your flight made it. We got some nasty weather down here in Texas. You're in what state, JC?
I'm in Phoenix now.
Nice.
Yeah, it is rainy here, but it's not cold. It's cold for Phoenix, but not cold.
It was like high 60s and rainy here.
Man, I'm in Connecticut. We got snow on the ground.
Hard pass. I just got back from Cancun. I did buy snow in Japan. That was good enough for me.
I hear that.
We went to a ski resort up in Hokkaido, which was amazing.
Nice. Yeah, you were all over, man. I was just following you on Facebook. I was like, oh, dang, he's over here.
It was like a bucket list trip of like when I had to switch gears and not do Europe because my friend that went, that girl and I have been friends for 6 years and we travel a lot. Well, she's Thai, and so they can just deny your visas at whim, and that was kind of the issue we ran into. Is I mean, she even got an attorney and applied, did the whole thing, and they were like, "Yeah, you're good to go," and then they were like, "Wow, it's taken a while," and then they denied the visa. I was like, I can go to Europe anytime, and that's my friend. You don't bail on your friends, and so we went to anywhere she could go, and it was like, wow, South Africa, Cape Town, instant top 5, unbelievable.
Dang, okay.
I've heard great things about it.
Completely. So one of my customers, airline pilot, flies all over the world, international. He's been a pilot for 29 years. He's like, same, Cape Town, top 5, blows me away. So I don't. Have you guys got the link posted up? While I was talking, I was throwing it everywhere I could. So I think we're ready.
Yeah.
So, JC, whenever you're ready to take off.
Yeah. So welcome everybody. We're excited to be here, Heath and Pat. Thank you so much for jumping on tonight. And tis the season. It used to be for months, and I just want to cry about it right now. Tis the season for Christmas lights, but now tis the season for pressure washing. And got a lot of people getting ramped up for the season right now. It's not even February; it's almost February, but it's people start working on marketing. Hopefully, they didn't let off on marketing. They should have been going all season with that. Thinking about hiring, training, systems, all that fun stuff. So, wanted to just get on here and talk about the one thing that drives every business. And without sales, we're not pressure washing, we're not window cleaning, we're not roof cleaning. And if we don't have sales, we're not hiring. We don't have technicians out there doing the work. Without sales, we can't hire more salespeople to do the things that we want them to do so we can have the freedom to work in our business. So what better thing to do tonight than talk about sales with two industry experts? Pat Clark, I mean, just a legend within the community, owner of Sales Boost, Precision Pro Wash, and some other great things you have going on right now. I'm not sure when you're ready to talk about that, but we can. Pleasure to have you here. And Heath Felps, Mr. Pressure Washer, pressure washing store, entrepreneur. I don't know what state you don't have a store in yet, so it's probably easy to mention that versus what states they are in.
Three states, 4 in Texas, Louisiana, and Florida.
Well, it's a pleasure to have the two of you here tonight. And for all our guests that are watching, listening, and on Facebook, the rules are simple. If you have a question, ask a question. We want to have some fun tonight. We want to get everybody excited. We want to bring some value. We'll kind of give like a little tiptoe into what Sales Boost Live will bring you in March in Wilmington. But we want to talk about sales because let's face it, when sales are down, our mentality is down, our morale is down. So if we can just keep driving sales, everybody's excited. Your company will grow. The morale will be high. and your company, and things are good. So if you have questions, please go ahead and drop a question in the comments. If you have not already had StreamYard approved StreamYard to like your name or whatever it may be, right now all I see is Facebook user for everybody. Heath, I don't know what you see on the comment side, but right now it's just Facebook user.
They've got to enable StreamYard's permissions for them to see it, but as you can see, like some of them have it enabled, and that's because they've hopped on here a few times.
Yeah.
For anybody that's not, I'll do my best to relay. I got an equipment question, but I mean that's kind of David. I'm not. We'll save that for the end. Any equipment. This is really focused on the sales side of it. We got one saying thank you for the zip ties.
Nice.
And there's a lot of people in here, so I think we're
total.
So we're at 72 right now.
So for transparency, I see Alex Melendez, Dave Jensen, Jerry Messer. Those are the only 3 people I see names. Everybody else, we don't see your name. So if you have a question, it's just easier if you accept StreamYard or at least put your name on there if you want us to acknowledge your name. But we're just going to kind of do a round robin, guys, and just kind of talk about sales. I got a couple preloaded questions, nothing too crazy. But we'll just go around again. If anybody has questions, we'd love to throw them up on the screen and see what we can do to talk. Let's see. Have you noticed the Facebook ad working hot?
Ooh. Yeah, Carlos Gonzalez on board watching.
Oh,
I
don't know if anybody heard Carlos and Pat on the Community Closers a couple weeks ago, but I listened to that in the gym the second time the other day. Man, you want to talk about a workout? You guys had some good energy in that talk.
Yeah, that was a good time. That was a great time with Carlos. So much knowledge right there, man. Been in the industry since like day one. I remember meeting him at the NCE events down in like Myrtle Beach way back when. Good times.
This question I posted is for a Dallas guy, Daryl RJ, and I think he's going into year 2, multiple rigs. He posted a great story today on his page. I saw it, talking about all the crazy stuff he had dealt with his first year and Facebook ads.
Yeah, Facebook ads they're hard, man, because it's like if you're doing paid ads on Facebook, it sometimes can be like, pulling the lever, at a casino. You don't know what you're going to get type deal, right? So sometimes those things will be popping off really good and then they're not. So I know David Carroll speaks really good on these things about running multiple ads and looking at shadow, lookalike audiences, if you will. And there's no rhyme or reason. I feel like, Facebook, Google, as they change their algorithms, change the message up. You might want to drop another ad in there. There's different ways to combat that. But I have seen that where it's working really good one week or for a month, and then all of a sudden it's like, what's going on? And so that's why I like to have, boots on the ground marketing too, but dial those things in. If, when we talk about marketing, everything works, right? We know that everything works. You just have to figure out with your budget and what you can do and what you can't do, and then make it work for you.
Yeah, and the thing with that too is you got to be aware and you've got to be on that with the trends and everything like that and see what works. Because if you're going to dump $400 or $500 a week, even a month, and you're not getting any results, it's oftentimes cheaper to go ahead and hire somebody out to do what they know best, which is these types of things, because they can do the split test, they can do this, they can get the lookalike audiences, they can retarget all of them. So for you to spend all that money and get 0 results, or spend a couple extra $100 and get a better ROI, and your customer acquisition cost goes down because they're retargeting the proper customers. I see too often in the industry is somebody's out in Maine or California and I'm getting their Facebook ads because they just go on there and say, boop, I'm just going to submit and do a $100 boost today, but I didn't retarget the proper audience, and I'm going to target everybody that likes my page. And now you're targeting to like people that you don't service. So, just you got to be aware. But one thing, kind of like Pat mentioned, like you can't sit here and say, I got 0 results out of Facebook, because maybe they saw your ad on Facebook. Maybe they saw the yard sign. Maybe they saw the vehicle wrap, and they happen to go online and go to precisionprowash.com and says, what was your lead source? And it says web. They're not going to go, well, first I saw you on Facebook, then I saw the wrap, then I saw the door sign. So you can't just sit here and say constantly like, well, it's not working. It's all about those different touches.
Yeah.
And a good customer that is, really kind of, looking for a full service may look at your Facebook ad and then go bounce off your Google listing and go, man, they've got a really good, emotionally makes me feel good that this company knows what they're doing because 55-star reviews. In my head, I'm probably going to feel like you know what you're doing because I know that I don't leave reviews, or that's what they're thinking, and go, man, that's a lot of effort. That emotional connection kind of kicks in, especially. So your Facebook ad may not convert, but I've had customers say that, like, oh, I saw your ad on Facebook and it made me go look you up on Google. So the Facebook ad did convert. That's what got them in the door. And so that can be harder to track. And I think the end result is having good, your system needs to include the question of, how'd you hear about us? And that's where you may get I saw your truck drive by. Okay, that's a contact. And then I went and Googled you. Well, okay. So all of your stuff has to be in a row. Like JC was saying, somebody said, do you have a recommendation for someone to do that? Number one scariest question ever is like, somebody run my ads. And I'm like, no, I don't.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just talked with Adam McChesney. He's with High Digital. He's actually going to be a speaker at Sales Boost. And it used to be 7 touches. I think they just upped it up to 8 touches. So you just got to think about that. Like, how many times are you putting your brand in front of a possible customer? Because if you're just going to do a Facebook ad and just say, well, I'm going to wait for the phone ring, that's not going to work. Did you do the Facebook ad? Did you do the door sign or the door hanger? Did you do the yard sign? Do you have a vehicle wrap? Did you go on Nextdoor? Did you ask for a referral? All those little things add up. So don't just expect one form of marketing to be the golden ticket. Obviously, we know typically Google Ads is one of the best ROIs, and depends where you are and depends what actual industry you're in. Because with Christmas lights, I always find that yard signs are the best ROI for us, and our brand, our vehicle wraps, a full entire wrap, not just like a JC's Christmas lights. We have all our vehicles completely wrapped. So you got to invest the money to get that ROI back. You can't just go throw a dart and just hope it sticks on the bullseye and just wait for the phone to ring.
Yeah. And you need to be tracking it too. Like, if you don't know how many touches it gets, to get a customer, or it takes to get a customer, it goes up all the time. I remember 14 years ago, it was like 5 touches, right? Now it's at 8 touches. But the thing is, if you're using the same message, the same brand, the same colors, right? Like everybody else, it takes 8. We got it down to like 4 and 5 touches still today, because the brand, the marketing, everything works. You can't just do one thing. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So today, Jay came over in Connecticut at our Connecticut branch, and he's got a large window cleaning company here in Connecticut. He runs 6 trucks, and he's just about to do a whole rehaul brand. But he saw our Facebook ads up here in Connecticut, and they're not converting right now because we have snow on the ground, right? We're not seeing that huge conversion. But we know the message is getting out there. We know we're branding. We're in branding mode right now. And so there's seasons of marketing throughout the year, and you need to track those seasons and know when you're branding and when you're converting.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Pat.
100%. Like, for pressure washing, in November, December, like your residential stuff's probably going to drop and may even die. Even in Houston, we could wash you around, but I convert far more commercial. So again, my mentality is like, I'm going to lower all my pressure washing budgets, boost my Christmas budget, which surprised me how high it converted. I was kind of shocked. But you switch to the branding mentality, and then your reach is smaller, but your wins are bigger, because if it's commercial, it's like, well, this is what I want. Yeah. And so I don't know how you guys want to fly through the questions, but they're coming.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we are way behind, so I'm going to start posting them. So can we talk about referral programs?
Ooh, I love some referral. I'll kick it off with some referral programs. So, there's a couple different ones you can do. We have the agent program. And so the agent program, basically, it's like getting the decoder ring in the cereal box when you were a kid. You know that emotion you got, the excitement you got? So that's what we do for our customers. We actually go to gotprint.com. We order 250 business cards, and they become our agent, right? So for Precision Pro Wash, they were Precision Pro Wash agent on the card. And then if they got us 10 jobs throughout the year, so we'd set them up on our CRM, and they would bring in work and it would come up under them, kind of like a commercial account. You know, when you can add different locations to that commercial account, similar to that. And so what we would do is each customer would bring us, you know, up to 10 other jobs. And we knew our average ticket was $1,400. So let me ask you a question. For $14,000, would you clean Mrs. Smith's house? Heck yeah, all day long, right? So we would either clean their home once a year if they brought 10 people, or we would give them a gift card, you know, to wherever, Starbucks or, you know, Texas Roadhouse. You can get those custom logoed cards from Texas Roadhouse. So there's a bunch of things you can do there. We were working with a company actually that had another referral program that gave away vacations. You literally can go on and these people will book the vacation. All they have to do is pay the tax on the vacation. So there's ways to give incentives. You just got to figure out what works for you. There's a lot of programs out there, but don't get overwhelmed. I know with my first referral program, I was like, how the heck do I do a referral? Do I give 10%, right? And I got overwhelmed and we never got referrals. But you should be asking for referrals from day one when they call in to the sales appointment to the technician, right? Build it in your system.
Yeah, Pat. I mean, that's huge because one, people want to refer good companies to their friends. If they know, like, and trust you, they want to refer it. Say, hey, you know, Pat was out here and his team did an incredible job. They cleaned my roof. Look how clean my roof is. You need to give them a call. So they want to do that. But also, if you're not asking, they may not know to do that because just some people just don't know. So you got to ask them, like Pat said, in the beginning when you're doing the estimate. Do you have any friends, neighbors, relatives, or family members that you can refer to us when they're doing the cleaning? We have postcards that we leave out there. One side is asking for a review. The other side is asking for a referral. It's got a QR code, and it lets them know that they get a $50 steakhouse, like you said, a custom branded gift card that we have to the Texas Roadhouse for every referral they give. They can give 10 referrals and get $500 in gift cards. We don't care. So they just hand that gift card or that postcard to their neighbor, and then it's got a QR link for the neighbor to scan, and then go get request the estimate right there. And then once you're done and you send off the final estimate or the invoice, we always ask for a review and a referral at that point too. So you consistently have to ask, but also follow up throughout the year too. Give them a friendly phone call. You always want to do those touches throughout the year to let them know, hey, we still care about you. We just want to make sure, Pat, your house is still looking clean. How's that roof doing? Great. Well, good. If there's anything you need, please let us know. By the way, do you have any friends, families, relatives, neighbors, or relatives that happen to need any services? No? Okay, well, thanks. We'll check back with you in 6 months.
So good. I love what you talked about too, like checking up. So what we do is we're like, hey, we're going to come by and do a complimentary roof inspection for you. And then what we're doing is basically doing another quote and then walking to the neighbor's house. Always replicate your efforts.
And that's why it's important to have fully wrapped or at least wrapped vehicles and not just showing up in a Pinto that says pressure washer on the side with, you know, half the numbers. But if you had that wrapped vehicle fully branded, don't park it in the driveway, park it on the street so everybody sees as they're driving by. You got that yard sign right there. You're going to put in there too as well when you drive off. But now that's 2 touches because they saw the yard sign, the vehicle wrap, and they might have seen you in your uniform. Oh, don't forget about the 5 rounds too. So that's 4 just for one visit.
Love it.
Salesperson, Pat, you've hired quite a bit, and I'll let you talk about yours and I'll talk about mine.
Hundreds of salespeople across the country. And so it's a lot of fun to see, the different pay structures. There's a lot depending on where you are in the country. If you're out in Seattle, Washington, it's a little bit different, right? So when you're hiring your first sales guy, it's scary because, you don't really kind of have a system. You've maybe never managed somebody. And so how do we pay, right? I started off with 15% commission, and this was 10 years ago. And I thought like, hey, if they make a sale, I'll pay them. But, if they don't, no worries, right? And so what we did was for the first 3 weeks, I paid them $600 a week. And then after the 3rd week, they went strictly commission because I knew it was, either or. If they made their 3rd week or whatever, and they're at $600, but they sold more and they were going to make $1,000, they got whatever was higher on that 3rd week. But they're running quotes now on the 3rd week. So we built out a 3 weeks training program, which obviously you'll see in Sales Boost Live. But the 3 weeks training program walks through the morning and what you do in the afternoon every day for 3 weeks. And then you kick him off. You know what I mean? Get him off. And he'll start selling that third week. And so with salespeople, you have to make sure they're producing. Now, for instance, when we were out in Seattle, Washington, some people have to pay them hourly. That's just the way it is, right? You pay hourly plus a smaller percentage. And if they're not selling and they're a lead runner, you're paying $600 for them to sit around the office. That doesn't work, right? That's going to hurt the P&L really fast. So you got to make sure that you are kicking them out of the office. They have strict guidelines that they need to follow, right? Whether marketing, door knocking, whatever it is, you got to build out the system and give them their marching orders to get that done. And so that's what we did in the 3-week training program. But it's a great way to start off commission because people are hungry. I don't ever want to cap somebody's pay because I found early on I was putting my self-limiting beliefs onto that salesperson. And I was like, wow, you can only make $50,000, $60,000 in a year. You know, this is what we do. And then shoot, man, they're making $80,000 to $100,000 in a year. And we're like, whoa, what the heck? He's doing better than I am, right? Because I was doing all the other things. So don't feel like you're putting your self-limiting beliefs on somebody that can go out and sell every day. It's a huge thing. And like the growth is amazing once you start, cracking the code and putting salespeople on.
Yeah, Heath, you want to touch upon that?
Yeah, so I would say that you guys have like a ton more experience in that because what we've done is kind of promoted people and they went into sales. And I would say they did well. We brought Mindy all the way from helping me start the company up through the trucks. And it's funny, she's on the East Coast now doing great. But one of the things is she was like, hey, I'm interviewing for a position. Can you go look at what I brought in? And I was like, yes. And so with like little to no background, like she was like 100K in sales in like 6 months. And that's phenomenal. I mean, that's like
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that was like, and we're high speed and I'm in a million things. So like I did not have my eyes close on it, but you kind of want that performance. But so for us here in Houston, it was the opportunity for them to they had to go the extra mile. They had to go to the evening mixers for the apartment associations. And that led us to networking into a whole lot of things. And then you just kind of have to jump on that opportunity. No one at these events really wanted pressure washing, but oh boy, do they want parking lot striping. Well, guess who my best friends became was parking lot stripers. I think 1 month we subbed out $40,000 in parking lot striping. Like I want to be a parking lot striper, but anyway, so that my experience with it's kind of low, but it's definitely commission based. And we definitely bring that to every single employee. We're like, look, if you're out in the field, I don't want you to fall massively behind and try and have an hour conversation with somebody, but feel free if it's something outside your understanding or more complicated than you're comfortable quoting with our standard pricing, we'll price it right there. Somebody will help you in the office and we'll give you 10% of that right there. So it behooves you to like turn around, give them your full attention, smile, answer some questions, keep your head on a swivel. And so I think as your employees get more experience, they can become salespeople too. That's more about what I've dealt with. So like, I think at max we had 2 people in the field at once for sales. So I don't want to, I not the expert in that field, still learning that side of it. I'm probably more excited to sit here and talk to the 2 of you guys and anybody watching realizes. I'm like, right. I got notes.
Love it.
Yeah, Pat, like you said, I would never hire a salesperson that wasn't on commission. And we do a draw against commission, so they're still getting a check throughout the month. But we want people that are hungry. We want people to go out there, know their potential, know that, if I go sell another job tomorrow, I'm getting 10, 15, whatever percentage it is. I like doing split percentages, and that could be split based off of commercial and then split based off of what's a hot lead versus what you're going out to get. So it's 12% commission of what we bring to you because here's a hot lead somebody wants washing. But if you're going to go out and be hungry and get your own leads and bring them in, we're going to give you 15%. So that's one way of doing it as well too. But, today is the day of technology. And if you do not have your CRM dialed in and you're making your guys like do some math on paper, because if they're like me, I can't do it. I'm going to mess up and put the decimal in the wrong spot. Like we use Responsibid, and I can literally hand both of you right here an iPad and say, go to this house and do an estimate. And it's going to walk you through everything. What is the square foot of the house? How many stories is the house? Does the house have a front porch? Does it have a back porch? Is it vinyl siding? Every single thing is dialed in with Responsibid that they just have to literally, you can't go. It's like Monopoly, you can't go past go, whatever, blah, blah. Like you have to check every single box before you can move on to the next thing. And with Responsibid, we have it dialed on the back end. So they're not doing any math other than just walking and measuring or counting windows or what floor is the dryer vent on. And then Responsibid will automatically spit it out to them and give them the price for everything based on complexity, how many stories, what type of roof it is, what type of driveway. And it just makes it that much easier for them so that they feel confident to go in there and just know that I have to follow your steps. Now, there's obviously going to be some more technical questions that will involve some training and some phone calls, and that'll take over time. That's why we send them out in the field with the technicians, because you want to send your salespeople out with your technicians as well. You need them to see how complex it is, how hard it is to walk that roof to do the roof cleaning, or how hard it is to carry a 40-foot ladder to put up there to clean those gutters. Oh, that makes sense. That's why we're going to charge more for this. Oh, yeah, because they can't get to this side of the house without tying off to the roof over here. So they need to know that. And by them actually getting on the field, holding that pressure washing wand so they can tell the customer, yeah, we're doing low pressure. We can safely wash our hand with the pressure that we use to clean your house. Oh, that's incredible. They wouldn't know those things if they couldn't actually do it themselves. So part of your sales training for your team is to spend at least 3, maybe 5 days in the field so they can go through everything. Hold that surface cleaner, move the stuff around so they know, like, oh God, they got a lot of furniture in this porch. We should probably charge $50, $75. So because the customer's not going to move it, because it's going to be a pain in the butt for the guys to do all the stuff. So it's real important that not only that you have your CRM dialed in, but you give them the training in the field with your technicians so they can understand it while they're explaining to the customer, instead of say, yeah, we're going to clean the house and throw some soap up there and it's going to be spick and span. No, like you want to go through the whole process. We're going to tape off the outlets. We're going to do this. We're going to move the furniture. We're going to plastic off the plants, all that stuff.
Love it.
All right.
We're going to have to start spitfiring these questions. I just see them pouring in. So we're going to have to spitfire.
We want the full answers.
What about the trends perspective? Like, what are there something that your salespeople should keep an eye on?
I don't really see this is me personally. I mean, it's not like TikTok and like something's trending where we have to go clean it. Like stick to what you're good at. We don't do paver sealing. We don't do, there's a lot of things we don't do. We don't do striping. We're good at roof cleaning. We're good at washing houses. We're good at cleaning gutters. We gave up on window cleaning because we found that we're wasting too much time. The profit wasn't there. So really it's, dial in your company to be the most efficient at what you're going to do. You don't have to be a jack of all trades to be doing 6-7 figures. And that's what people get lost in. They see that shiny object. Oh my God, I got to do crystal slides. Oh my God, I got to do concrete coatings. Stick to what you're good at. And then once you have that dialed in and you're like the beast in your area, okay, then maybe we can slowly add in something else. Like we don't do staining. We don't do sealing. I hate any type of wood deck cleaning, to be completely honest with you. I'd rather just give it away to somebody else because we're really good at everything else. We are so efficient at roof cleaning. We're super efficient at house washing. So before you try and add like whatever is new or popping off, get really good at what you're good at and focus on that. Get real efficient, get real lean, increase your capacity, and be able to, go from $2,000 a day to $2,400 a day in capacity, and then focus on something else.
Simplicity scales.
David Rivas had a question. I think it's affecting his opinion, affecting sales.
Yeah, no work and no calls coming in. Do you all think this economy that has to do with the loss of calls and work volume?
Go ahead, Pat.
No, you go.
So, there's two parts of that. And one, I think the economy has a small piece to do with that. And I also think that the influx of companies definitely has a larger play with that. I mean, I good Lord, there was somebody that asked for a pressure washing company on Facebook the other day. And there's, I'm not even exaggerating, 15 companies that chimed in. And I wrote back in, I was like, look, I'm not even going to throw my name in here, but this is what you should be looking for, because there's so many people who responded. But I also think that, we just need to be ahead of everybody else. And part of that has to do with your brand. Is it consistently like up to date and you're reaching out to your customers? I think we fall short on truly reaching out to our previous customers and asking for the referrals too. So reaching out throughout the year could increase that too, because I think if you really focus on your current customers and try and push that referral marketing and ask them like, hey, can you post in your neighborhood Facebook page for us? Like we'll give you a discount. If you get 3 neighbors, we'll clean your gutters for free. Like we really just need to start thinking outside the box and leveraging our current clients, because they know, like, and trust you. They already left you the 5-star review. They want to use you. I can't tell you how many times, we've had people go to other companies and like, oh, that was the worst idea ever. We tried saving $40 and that was just horrible. Here you go, take our money. So you really just need to be the powerhouse in your area and own it. Like Christmas lights this year, we did not lose any revenue. We increased for the last 6 years. We've increased. Washing, we decreased last year, but that was a huge part of my absence of the company. So I'll take the full blame on that. I don't, and I'm sure it had to do with a little bit of the economy, but I don't want to blame the economy on everything, because people still have money. They still want their house cleaned. But are we doing here we go. Let's talk about that. Like what's trending to get in their face, because maybe they're not reading their emails anymore. But did you call them? Because we always say we're reaching out to them, but how did you do it? Did you email them? Did you call them? Did you text them? All those different things have to be. Did you send a handwritten letter with like a self-addressed envelope?
This tags onto that. Like, how do you reach them? This person's asking, do you, what about flyers with EDDM?
Yeah, Jeremy Messer said the same exact thing, right, about EDDM, and what's your thoughts on them? So, like you're saying, JC, the economy definitely has, an effect on it, right? And I think that we have this like YouTube boom of exterior cleaning, like, make $40,000 a month in your first month. You know what I mean? Like we have this going on, but the reality is everybody's doing internet stuff. They're doing the Facebook. You see like 20 Facebook things, and I get them in every state I go to, right? And so everybody's doing these things, but you have to become the wrecking ball, right? Like you have to become dangerous in your market. And what I mean by that is like when we go into a market and we flyer and we EDDM, everything works, right? But you have to have marketing stamina. You have to do it to an amount to where you can track the numbers. And then if it's a loss leader, mark it off. So when we go into a market, right, everybody gets busy. And that's fine. I want that, because not everybody is our customer. And I have competitors and they're like, dude, did you stop marketing? And I'm like, yeah, man, we were getting slammed. I had to like, let the foot off the gas. He's like, shoot. He's like, my phone stopped ringing too. And it's funny to see that, because, it's fun. We're building, like, all boats, rise as the tide rises. And so what I mean by that is like, do EDDM, get creative. Don't just go on Google. Don't just go on Facebook, right? Where it's easy. You pay the money and it's easy. You have to do the things that are different. You got to be different in your market. What can you do with your clientele base, right? Reaching back out to them. There's so many things you can do to get creative. You're going to have to think outside the box. This year is going to be a make or break it. That's the way I feel. Now, old marketing is still working, but we stopped doing it because the digital, it's easier and people like to take the easy road. You got to build a system to be the meanest, greenest soft washing company in the area.
Yeah, if I was going to just get crazy with this year, I mean, I would go invest in like 500 yard signs, and you could pay somebody $1 yard sign, have them take a picture, send it to whatever it is. They can knock out 50 yard signs in an hour. Just give them a key location. Pay a high school kid to go do the door hangers, pay him per door hanger per hour, whatever like that. Same thing. Mark the area he's doing. But it's just going to be who's getting the most touches, because they're going to want their house cleaned. But it's one of those things that we just don't think about until we're outside and see our house, or the wife's complaining about something. So if we're constantly in their face, pressure wash, keep it simple. I mean, your yard sign doesn't need to say pressure washing $99 and blah, 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 blah. Call this number now. Ours just said house washing or pressure washing and the phone number. We didn't even have the name on there. That was it. And we had each yard sign had a trackable number, so we knew which one was more effective. But just get it out there, put it in the right places. When it's taken up tomorrow by your competitor who's freaking lazy, whatever, go put another one out there. Go put 2 more out there. I don't care. But you got to get your boots on the ground. That Goya marketing that Pat always talks about. I know most people will frown upon the clip fires, Pat, but you know what? It's effective. It's quick. You're going to get a call. You might even get a call about somebody complaining. You can quickly flip that into a sale.
One of the things that we had to do is we developed a lot of relationships with general contractors across the state. And I'm not knocking that in any way, but my partner who was running the wash side last year was getting overwhelmed with the amount of quotes. And I sat him down. I said, hold on. You have sent out like $73 million in quotes in a month and you're dead. Like you're working your tail off. And so there's 2 things to this. One, your quotes are inefficient. And I've talked to a couple other pretty big washers, bigger than myself, and they've mentioned some stuff. And I said, I can tell you right now that you're putting too many points on your map. And they were like, what? I was like, your quotes don't need 73 points, man. Like no one cares. Like you can just ballpark it real close. Like don't be lazy, but like, if there's a big parking lot, measure the whole thing with 1 square and then pull out, the stuff in the middle real quick. It's a lot less clicks. It's don't be nuts with it. Just give it a rectangle, whatever. And they were like, oh, because that guy was like, man, I'm quoting 40 things a day. And I'm like, and that my partner fell into that same trap about being efficient. This is like you in-house. You've gotten past the I need leads. Now I'm drowning in leads. How can I even deal with them? And I told him, I said 2 things with the GCs. Call them all right now. And he's like, what? I'm like, call the GCs right now with me in the room. And I'm like, I'm still the CEO of the company. Call them. And he's like, okay. So he calls them. I'm like, hey, I'm the CEO, Texas Pressure Washing. I got a quick question for you. What are you bumping my price up to? And if they were above 10%, I was like, don't. If you can't only bump 10%, I'm not quoting for you anymore because you're just using my number as a number and you're probably getting other guys to quote. And like, I'm not mad at you, but that's not a relationship I want. And a couple of guys were super upset. And I was like, don't call me again. And all we did was pare down our energy and our time into working with GCs that were like, man, you guys are price competitive. We can tack on our 10% and we're just clocking these out of the park. But I mean, we went almost 90 days before I was in the room to fix it. And that's part of my, I stepped away too much and I wasn't paying enough attention. But for anybody that you do all of this right and your leads are just flooding you, you have to be super efficient because you'll lose money by not responding to the leads. Mm-hmm. Or, what's that phrase? Call your damn leads. Yeah. Yeah. It's the same thing. We get to the other side of it. There's more than just landing it because you can, death by success, Yeah. So that's one of the things that we saw in the beginning of the year is it's super exciting to fire off all these quotes and then you don't land any and you're like, why are we not landing? You got to go back. And that's where we pared down. We only work with those GCs that, in my opinion, 10% on a sub job that you don't have to show up for is good money. And if you want more than that, there's a company that might do that. I'm not that company. And I'm okay with that. So we got really good relationships with, I think there's like 3 or 4 GCs and that we use. And a couple of them are really big companies that are national. And that's why you guys see me posting sometimes looking for national companies because I can't always flex and drive to Ohio with no notice or things like that. But that's just one I'm talking about. Teeing off of what you said, I was like, man, we were drowning. It's really exciting, but my partner was really getting worn out and frustrated with no closure, but it was coming so quick. He couldn't like step back and assess. And if you don't have somebody to step in and do that, there's mentor programs that can do that, or, having somebody that you can bounce ideas off of and go, man, I don't know what's going on. Like I'm not landing anything. Well, that was the key. We had a company that was providing us the most quote opportunities, but they were adding 40% to our price.
Oh, wow.
Anything in Texas at the 40% markup.
Yeah.
Unless you take the L, and the jobs weren't worth that. So that's just on the opposite side. Once you get the leads, especially commercial, everybody wants it, but you got to be careful.
I want to go back up. Somebody a little while ago said responsibility is great, but it's very expensive. I don't know what you consider expensive. I just looked on their website and I looked at the annual price, and it's let me do the math here. It's $190 a month to add Responsibid. I don't see that as very expensive because I see it as an efficient time savior for your salespeople to go out there. I've got nothing against any other CRM out there. I use Customer Factor. I know guys that use Jobber, House Call Pro, Server Side, you name it. They're all great, and they're all fairly going to cost you quite a bit of money. But for the simplicity of Responsibid and how easy I can literally, I don't know who wrote that. I unfortunately can't see your name, but I can give you my iPad and have you go do an estimate. And as long as you have the fundamentals of a house wash, I'm telling you, you can walk through it. And if it's, let's say it's March 22nd, I hear Pat Clark at Sales Boost speaking, say, raise your prices. I can go on Responsibid and change my price right there while I'm at Sales Boost Live automatically. And my team doesn't have to know it. And it'll increase the prices right there. It's that easy, that efficient. So if $190 is expensive, well, we need to talk about how to increase your average ticket and increase your closing percentage, because at a $800 to $900 average ticket for the washing industry, when you're doing sales packages and bundles, which Responsibid is like the wizard at, it's not expensive at all.
That's what I tell somebody: wash a driveway. If you want it, go wash a driveway. And they're like, what? Or guys are like, I want electric reels. Okay. They were like, you say it like there's a solution. I'm like, don't buy reels. And they're like, what? I'm like, you're going to spend the money on a manual reel and then want electric reels for 3 years. So go wash with no reels until you earn the money to buy the electric reels, and buy them once and don't waste the money. So there's no resale loss. And they're like, hey, what? I'm like, same thing. If you're an owner and you don't want to fork out for Responsibid, go wash a driveway one Saturday a month.
That tough love right there, Heath. I love it, man.
Well, I mean, if you want it, go get it. Is all I'm trying to say. It's like it's not like they're asking you to pay $1,000 a month, which I would say is a significant change. You're selling a whole sale package to pay for one service. That to me would change my perspective on it. If I can get it in the ballpark of a driveway,
well, you think of it as a sales guy. It's Responsibid is like a salesperson. If you can do more quotes, right? You look at it as a salesperson. Would you rather spend $600 on a sales guy or $200 on a CRM that sells for 3 sales guys?
To be fair, I don't have Responsibid, and I'm saying that. And I thought to myself, I'm like, now I have to go get this damn thing. and it's just setting it up, and
I'm at the home service workshop that is put on with Responsibid, and I've been a user for 4 years now, and I love it for Christmas lights even better than washing, just because I love lights more. But it is, I feel, one of the simplest. It's not a CRM because you still have to have your separate CRM for invoice and all those things. But the follow-up system in Responsibid and just the simplicity, once you get it dialed in, it does take a little bit of work. I will say that I bought it twice and I let it go because I thought it took so much work to do it. But once I spent a half a day on it and dial it in, oh my God, the sales team loved it. The office loves it. The customers love it. And it's just incredible. Don't look at it as an expense. Look at it as an investment. Pat, you got a good one for this one.
I do. So you really got to get over.
You can hear it.
You gotta, that's right. You really got to get over though of insulting the customer, because unfortunately everybody's tension, everybody's anger, right, is high right now. And so you're going to get people that are just ticked off. They had a bad day, and you're going to show up to that door and you're going to get it, right? And you have to understand, you got to level up. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with tonality. But a good script to really ease into things is if I'm going to do a quote and I want to walk across the street, because we always recommend a 1-for-1. So when you go do a quote, you got to come back with another quote, because we know nationally we have a 50% closing ratio, right? That's if we just hire you, stand on your head, 50% closing ratio, right? Because our system sells. And so if you knock across the street, you're going to get one closed deal, right? If you do two, we know you're going to get one. And so you walk across the street and you're like, hey, Mrs. Smith. And you always name drop. So when you're doing those quotes, name drop whoever you just gave the quote to and say, hey, by the way, we're in the neighborhood. I can give 5 homeowners an additional $50 off. Would you like to take advantage of that? And if not, no big deal. I know your neighbor will. And you start turning around. And I did this. I was doing sales boost on site out in Virginia Beach, actually. And we had the homeowner run out and get us. We were like 4 houses down. And she come running out. And she's like, no, we want it. We want to get the $50. And I was like, dang, it's just $50. But it's a big deal, right? So come up with different scripts like that. We have a whole document of scripts, but that's one that easily leads you in that won't offend anybody. If you have a technician that's out there working and you have a truck working, another one is, hey, by the way, you can have your sales rep go down the road and start knocking doors, especially like right now, it's slow. While you're doing work, knock on the neighbor's doors and say, hey, by the way, we have a technician down the road. We're going to be making a little bit of noise. Is that okay? Yeah, not a problem. Perfect. And then you kind of turn, and this is what you got to do because it's like taking candy from a baby. You got to turn like you're leaving and say, hey, by the way, we have $50 off for the neighborhood special. Do you think you would like to take advantage of that? And then you shut up, right? And no big deal if not. I know the neighbor definitely will. We do a lot of work in the neighborhood, but no worries, right? Just nonchalant. And then again, they're going to get the clip flower. They're going to get the 5 around. They're going to get those touches. We had a neighbor, I think it was a cul-de-sac, and a neighbor was at the end, and they called one time. They're like, all right already. Just come clean my roof. I don't care what it costs, right? They had like 24 flyers. Kill them with kindness, right? Squeaky wheel gets the oil, baby.
But just get used to hearing no. I mean, I love no's, especially with commercial clients. I can't tell you how many years I had to go after commercial clients. I heard no. And now we have them year over year over year. I've got a client that took me 3 years to get, and this is a light customer, not washing. It's an $18,000 job every single year for the last 4 years. This will be the 5th year doing it as well. We've got a commercial retirement community. It's about $45,000 every year we do for them, like just consistently. So if you hear a no, that's come back tomorrow or come back next week, especially for the commercial ones. You got to keep going after them.
Yes.
My favorite no was 2 years ago. I quoted a house, and it was like a $2,500 quote for a pretty decent sized house in 10 minutes from where I live. And there's like 7 or 8 neighborhoods. And we sent out our January text blast, and the guy goes, "You ruined my house." And I looked up, I was like, that's not what I've ever heard before. So we'd never done work. And I said, "Sir, I've never serviced your home, but I did give you a quote in 2021. And because you're in my database, you received a text. I said, would you like me to update your quote or provide service?" And he was like, "Wait, you didn't ruin my house?" I said, "Nope." And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I've only had my home cleaned once, and I got a bunch of quotes, and I went with the lowest guy." And I said, "Sorry." And he had a beautiful stucco home. And I said, "Well, it's been, almost 3 years. Would you like, it cleaned?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's set something up for the end of March." And I was like, "Done." And so it's funny. It's like that no was somebody had turned that into an emphatic no. But with good records, I was just like, "No, I just provided a quote. We didn't actually perform service." And he was like, oh, right there. And was like, "No, but then he was like, wow, I can't believe you're still following up." I'm like, "You're in my system. If you tell me no, I'll take you out or, turn it off or whatever." But
yeah,
why not? And, I sent that out on a Friday night at 6 p.m. and I was in Cancun. It was automated. I didn't even look at it. Probably not, what I'd recommend, but I just didn't feel, I was like, I'm whatever. And then Monday when I got home evening, I looked at it and I was like, whoo, I got all these messages. And it's like, work. But, I think timing matters. We haven't talked about that. When do you want to get a text blast? I don't want a text at 8 a.m. from anybody, really, unless it's for my business. So I don't want that. And an email, I think, is different. You can send an email at 6 a.m. Some people are up checking everything going before their day starts. Maybe not going to engage in booking a service at 6 a.m., but maybe depends on commercial. I think, guys, LinkedIn is good. They do check early. I mean, I check all my stuff at like 6 a.m. or whatever. And if it's something important, I'll engage. But so I think time is something that I don't know that anybody really talks about, or maybe I just haven't heard it, but I sent out my email blast at noon, and I was trying that. I was like, I'm going to try it at noon because like maybe at lunch to look at it. And then I sent out the text blast at 6 p.m. on a Friday, and my response rate was same exact database, 200% response increase from a text blast at Friday at 6 p.m. And so I would say that to anybody talking about when you're going to send it out is like, please think about there's a lot that you can do as a business owner when you just switch your mentality into the consumer. And I think we're terrible about that is you will stop being a business owner and you will get on Facebook and you go, who's got the best price on hoses? My absolute favorite. Like the minute you say who's got the best price, I'm like, I'm not responding to that. Like I have to have the willpower to not respond to that. And like, it's as a business owner, I'm like, I'm not doing it. But you just forget to do that as a business owner when you're looking to get somebody to engage. Like JC said, the yard signs. I've seen guys have $10,000 off one yard sign. You know your area. Where as a consumer would you actually have the time in your vehicle to sit and look at a yard sign and safely go, let me snap a photo of that real quick. Those are the things that you know how to do that maybe you're not applying to what you're doing. And that really matters when Pat and JC like give you these tools with Sales Boost is like, it's not just like, well, I've got my list and now I'm going to go make $1 million. It's like, you gotta have some like application of your geographical region, your area and your market to implement all these things. I think that matters a lot because I've let so many marketing guys take a shot at running my ads and stuff in Houston. And I'm like, dude, this is an 800-pound gorilla down here. Like it'll eat you up and chew you out like digitally. And I'm not going to give you a $10,000 budget to play with. So, and I've upped it. Like I gave a company $4,500 a month and it did not go well. And they were very professional about it. They were like, I got nothing. I'm like, I know, like, trust me. I take care of it myself because I can just be mad at myself. But when you take my money, the results have to be delivered.
Right. Yeah, that ROI's got to be there.
But anyway, the timing, I think, of everything matters. And you need to track that down. And, like it's time consuming, to do the math and stuff like that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with asking somebody to bring somebody in, but just be prepared for that. Like a smaller market's easier. I've seen the same company that got their teeth kicked in here in Houston go dominate Austin.
Yeah.
It's not that they can't hang in big cities. There's just a difference between a top 3 city in the nation population wise and a top 50. The effort to hang in the top 10 in anything in the world is phenomenal. So I'm not trying to slam anybody. I just tell people all the time, it's like, what works for me may not work for you. And I think JC said this really well at the beginning is just like, you have to try different things and bring them all together. So,
yeah. And you hit on a good point. I wanted just to add that you're learning from experience, from our failures, right? We've done all of it. We've done it all. And I remember doing this voicemail bomb and I did it at like 5 o'clock. I'm like, just run it. And the freaking voicemail bomb was calling people at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it, like you said, Heath, is like in the morning, I got into the office and people were leaving voicemails. They're like, what the hell? You call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So learn from our experiences, our failures, and do these things early, right? Timing is key.
We did that when we set up, I forget what it was. We set up an automatic text blast and I didn't realize the time. And they're the same thing. They got text message at 2 o'clock in the morning. I had hundreds of pissed off people at me. I'm like, oh, shoot.
Your ROI on engagement was good.
They remembered me, all right.
The response rate was off through the roof.
For the wrong reasons, though.
Yeah. If you think you can dance on fire, then please fire off at 2 a.m. So I can't find it in here, and it may have been a direct question that's not shown up. Somebody said, I'm attending Sales Boost. What, like just a general, like, what should I expect?
Ooh. Oh, real quick, because I'm going to answer this guy too. I'm actually in Seymour, Connecticut. So if you got a referral, hey, hit me up on Facebook. I'm in Seymour, Connecticut.
Luckily, Connecticut's small, so you can get anywhere in Connecticut, I feel like. It's like Delaware. Pat, you want to touch on Sales Boost?
Yeah, what was the question again? Sorry.
They were just saying, like, I'm attending Sales Boost this year. What should I expect generally? Just like kind of a broad strokes.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's awesome you're coming. So we have 3 days jam-packed, really, right? So you're going to experience kind of our 3-week sales program. So you're going to get that, but you're also going to experience it. It's all about the experience. So we usually kick it off with classrooms, and day one is going to be classroom most of the day. Bring your laptop, bring a notebook. Like, we're going to have pens and stuff like that. But, it's going to be classroom setting. And I know, JC, you got a lot of really cool things. You're mixing it up. So we're going to have – how many speakers, JC, are coming?
Yeah, so we've got 22 right now, and I still can't believe it. I was talking to somebody else today. Like, the lineup is incredible. Brandon Vaughn, David Carroll, Pat Clark, Angela Schroeder, myself, Marvin Salcido, Megan Likes, Sam Gebel, Mike Andes. I mean, I can keep going on and on and on. Like, industry experts amongst industries. We've got, washing, window cleaning, roof cleaning, Christmas light guys, lawn care. And the format right now is the first morning sessions from 8:30 to 12 is going to be like keynotes, main stage speakers. We're going to take a lunch. And the one thing about this, it's not like any other industry event you go to. We want to make sure you have the VIP experience, the taste, the touch, the feel, the smell, everything. Warm, hot breakfasts. Same thing with lunch, nothing like we're feeding you guys breakfast and lunch going all out with a welcome reception on Wednesday from 6 to 8. We're going to have appetizers and drinks while you mingle and get to meet everybody. 12 to 1 is lunch. And then we're going to break it down to 2 different rooms, and we'll have 2 speakers going at once on the main stages. So you get to choose for that. Then we'll kick that off with a snack. We got even snacks coming in midday because we know we get tired. So we want to keep everybody fueled, because at 4:15, we're doing an open panel from 4:15 to 5. We're going to break it down to a panel, have the guest speakers answer a couple questions, then open up to the audience. And then Thursday night is comedy night. So we're doing comedy night for everybody that shows up. You get to attend a comedy night. Have fun with that. Friday night for the VIP and elite guest, we're doing a VIP gambling experience where we're going to feed you dinner, feed you drinks all night for 3 hours, and then do it's a no cash gambling kind of fun casino night. So that's going to be fun. And then Saturday, we cut it off at noon for the VIP and elite guest. They can stay, they'll hang out with the guest or all the speakers. And then we'll do another lunch and then open up for like a round table for everybody that's there with the VIP elites and all the speakers. So it's not like your typical trade show. We're not going to have a trade show floor with vendors every day. We will have sponsors that will talk to you, but we're there for very niche focused in sales, just to drive your sales mentality. And if you went last year, if you went 3 years ago, your mind is in a different place this year. So you're going to hear different things from different speakers that you might have missed the years prior.
Yeah. And we give you a book. I mean, that thing was thick last year, and it's got all the scripts in it. It's got the 3-week training program. Like you said, JC, earlier, we don't hold back. You know what I mean? We give you what's working, what we've found that worked really well for us, and we teach you on it, right? It's not just listening to somebody. It's listening to somebody talk and then executing that system, writing that system. And then with that book, you're going to be able to go back and train your sales team. You'll have the stuff, you'll have the resources to be confident in, I can hire a sales rep, I can train him in 3 weeks, and he can start selling $10,000 a week, right? These are going to be executable things that you take away from Sales Boost that you can implement right away.
In your CRM, you should be able to track them. I've seen even with Conquer, they give a really good Excel spreadsheet for you to track your lead sources, so you can be able to track your customer acquisition cost, and the amount you spend, how many leads you got coming in, how many converted to an estimate, how many converted to an actual job. So just look at your CRM and then look for other people that might be able to share that resource with you as well.
Yeah. And success leaves clues. You know what I mean? When you're following somebody, like Heath or JC, success leaves clues. You'll see that most companies that are doing really well are doing some of the same things. And when JC talks about the CRM, right? Like you have to be putting the stuff in correctly to get the actual numbers, right? And make sure that they're correct. So CRM is a great way to run multiple reports on leads, your ADL, all kinds of things, closing ratio. We follow through, and you're going to see that in Sales Boost too, how you actually hold your sales team accountable. And if you're doing sales, you better have a job description and you better hold yourself accountable. I don't care if it's just you. You better be running weekly sales meetings with just you,
Yeah. And I just had something you were just talking about with that. And yes, here we go. Very, very, very important for, businesses have been doing business for years. As you enter your lead source into your CRM, you're going to put Facebook, Google, yard sign, vehicle wrap like that. It's really important that the second year that customer comes back, you update that and put it as a repeat. Because if you leave it as Google, whatever else, for everybody, that's going to misconstrue your numbers. You're going to have 0 repeat clients coming back because you want your repeats. That should be a very good percentage of your jobs every year. So it's going to consistently say like Google's up, yard sign is up. So make sure as you add that customer the following year, you change the lead source to a repeat.
Yes.
And Michael Gregory talks a very good job about that at Sales Boost, what your percentages should be for referral, for repeat, and for your other lead sources. It's really, really so important to track that too.
I saw that question. What do you use for mass text messages? Is it Text Magic? Is that one?
Text Magic is good. Go High Level is good. There's a couple other ones out there, but it's harder now to use them if you're not I think it's 10LC or 10L1C, whatever it is. So you got to get compliant with that before you can start sending them out there. But yeah, there's plenty of great resources. Text Magic we use for years. Textedly, I think, is another one. Yep. And Go High Level is another great resource.
You got My Service Robot too. You guys got to check that out. That's new, and they hook it all up for you, so you guys are good. They'll walk you through that process. Ooh, some commercial questions. That's what I'm talking about. Talking some big money. Let's go.
We send them as much as you can because the more you can send them, the better value you can deliver them. Because if they're going to actually go forward with your estimate or send it up, these are things that they're going to want: your W-9 insurance, referral letters from previous clients. If you're going to save them one step and say, hey, holy cow, JC sent us like not only the estimate, they sent us previous work they've completed with pictures before and afters, referrals from 5 different banks that they cleaned. And hey, we're a bank too. So how convenient is that? The W-9 and the insurance, which usually has to go up the COI. You don't always have to fill out the information on the COI with their company name. You can wait till it's approved and get that. But just so they can see, all right, yeah, they have up to $1 million with $1 million umbrella. Perfect. They actually can be a company that we can use instead of them going through all this and like, oh, well, they only have $500,000 of insurance and we require a $2 million umbrella. So they're not going to work. So the more you can send them and deliver them, the more value they're going to see. And just think about all the other companies that are just sending like pressure wash building, $1,400. And you just send them like 10 pages of magic.
What we did, and I think it was last year is the first time, is especially for cold contact or our existing commercial, they're just like, send us the updated stuff, whatever. But we put a PDF together that had our workers' comp, our general liability, and our, what's the other one? I think auto, not auto. There's 3. Oh, or W-9. Yeah, just our standard signed W-9. And at the top, it wasn't fancier, but it had our color, our colors were in it. And it was just like, these are real unobtrusive, but available. Like, these are our services. Cause maybe they're like, ooh, cause we've had that. Like a hospital was like, we want parking lot striping. We want welding repair. And we want concrete repair. And I'm like, done, and we provide it all, and that's because so our commercial packet's like a little PDF. Now, plenty of commercial people were like, "Can you send me my individual stuff?" And I'm like, "Sure." They didn't see it. Whatever, doesn't matter to me. Don't go. You already have it, and yep, send it again. Like whatever.
Yep.
Because like I can attach stuff to estimates, but it's so easy to miss that. It's so easy for somebody to miss it, especially for somebody that's trying to sift through 3 estimates for a project they don't even care about, for a large company that their boss is like, give me this data. They're not like going and deep diving this baby that you've delivered and it's the most exciting thing that you've ever done in your business. They're just like, next. So don't be offended if they miss it and get, like, well, I've already sent it. Just be like, yep. And, and then I send it individually. Like I never resend like the packet, but we tried to make it nice enough that we would go to the mixers and events and you could hand it out. And like, it could be a standalone flyer. It was nice enough for that. Or we put it in a folder. And so that was something that we did. And we got good feedback on it. But again, we always had the 3 standalone available. And if you don't know how to make a W-9, it's free online. And you can go do that. And every insurance company is a little different, but like COIs are usually pretty quick to get if you need a certificate of insurance, which is what we're talking about for your general liability. Same thing for your workers' comp. A lot of people are solo operators and they go, well, I don't need workers' comp. Well, that's true until you do commercial. Then they don't care. And then it's like, do you want to play with the big boys? I don't think workers' comp's that expensive.
And one of the, my favorite person in the industry to have like on direct dial is my insurance agent. I can text her anytime I want, and we have a great relationship. We talk outside of, the washing industry and the light industry. I've never met her personally. My office has 3 times, but if we need anything like a COI, because a lot of these multifamily properties and things like they want it now, we can just quickly email the information over to our agent. We don't have to deal with like a national number and have to wait for like the 4 or 5 days of processing. She'll have it back to us within like hours. So definitely get to know your insurance agent. That's why it's so important to have somebody local to you. Just where you have that great communication. You don't have to wait like, well, I'm out of the office for a week. Well, if she's out of the office, she has a direct number for the next person to take over for her. Heath, you got a couple people that's talking about sales boost on here. I just want to talk about that real quick. Jeremy, great question. Big focus this year with sales boost is, the sale starts at the initial phone call, which is oftentimes the owner operator. It could be the admin person, and it might even be somebody, the salesperson out there doing the sales. So, the sale starts with that person, then it continues on to the salesperson out delivering the estimate. Hopefully we're doing in-person estimates. It's got a higher conversion rate, higher average ticket. That's one of the things we want to talk about, a sales boost with packages and bundles. And it ends with the technician while they're out there doing the job. Are they out there cleaning the house? He's out there, he's cleaning the driveway. He looks up and he sees the dirty roof, or he sees the dirty siding, or the dryer vent that the homeowner doesn't know that needs to be cleaned. So they have the opportunity to upsell while on the job. So it's not specific to one role in the company. It is open to everybody. I do like sending other people than just the business owner, because if I go and I went to Sales Boost 3 times, I sent 3 different salespeople. If I went every single time and I went back and said, all right, guys, this is what we're going to do. This is what I learned from Pat, and this is what we're going to do because I told you last year, and we didn't do it last year, but we're going to do it this year, versus sending a salesperson with me, they're hearing Pat speak on a different mentality. They're hearing it as a salesperson. I'm hearing Pat speak as a business owner. So I'm hearing one thing, they're hearing another thing. On the break, we could sit there like, oh my God, did you hear Pat talk about this? Yeah, he's talking about Goya and we're going to do the clip flyers. Yeah, but he's also talking about how we need to be the Bilimbic sales and all that stuff. So if you could send more than just yourself to Sales Boost, you're going to get a ton of value, and you're also going to empower that person, whoever that team member is going, whether it's the technician, the admin, empower them to want to do more, because then they'll come back to you and say, hey, I've got this great idea and this is how I want to implement it. And I know I can increase my average ticket because we weren't doing bundles, but now we're going to do bundles. And then instead of just giving them the house wash, I'm going to give them the house wash, the driveway, and the roof cleaning. And maybe we can just increase our closing percentage by 8% and our average ticket by $400. Hopefully that answered your question. And yes, it is a lot more personal feel than the Huge. If there's two shows you can go to every year, it's the Huge and Sales Boost. The Huge is just huge. It is what it is. There's so much going on. There's trade show floors. They got 3 or 4 speaking rooms at a time. It's a lot. That's why we have Sales Boost. We have breakfast. Everybody's sitting together. Lunch. Everybody's sitting together. We have only 2 breakout rooms. So there's only be like A room or B room for the half of the day. And then everybody's back together. It's a lot smaller audience. And we want it to be more intimate so you can connect better with the attendees and with the speakers. So completely different than the Huge. But I do love the Huge. So I'm not knocking the Huge at all. Love the Huge. So my 2 cents on that, I would give, like, I wouldn't just give them a bulk discount. Say, hey, it's, normally 275, we'll do it for 150, because then they're gonna say, all right, well, we only want 10 done at once. So do the math on what makes sense for you, that one, and just like be very specific in your wording. Like, if it's 1 through 10, we'll do it at this price. If we're doing the whole entire community, it's going to be this price.
And you can do, so, like, I wash for we got very lucky, very high-end community. They kind of are set, and then when they want to wash, they hit me up unusually out of schedule for them, and they said, if we turn and burn on this project and do it now, what would the price be versus waiting till, I don't know, it's like 3 or 4 months later. And at the time, in that time slot, like, I just happened to have nothing. And I was like, well, it just so happens that if you book it now, I'll knock $3,000 off the price. I mean, and the ticket's pretty decent. Like, I only watched it's an HOA, and they're all like 4 or 5 story condos, and it's the nerve wracking HOA with the Maybachs and the Ferraris and the the 2 ounces of landscaping in front that's worth $3,500, and but it's really fun to watch. The people are really cool, they're really nice, and we've had a great experience down there. But that, for us, we're only washing, man, maybe like 20 homes at a time. And, for me to knock a percentage off like that, they were just like, oh, let's do it. They were just like, immediately, they were just like, yep, that's approved, done. And it's, even a high-end place has a budget. So that was like a big thing, and you can incorporate, that's where you get an opportunity. If you feel you have to, I had a relationship with them. So you might be able to leverage a time frame into your opportunity too. Like, if you're completely booked out with something, then, you need to tell them, be like, if you can wait, we'll do it. Cause they may not be able to wait, but that matters. And it gets harder when you juggle big projects. Like right now I'm trying to figure out like how I can link up New Jersey and Florida. And, like, can I do it at this, one after the other? Like, I don't know. And so, there's some incentive to that, but you're still working with the customer and their time frame, and it may be dictated. I think HOAs have a little bit more flexibility than some of the businesses. So yeah, those are the kind of things that can play into the price. But I always try and tell people with commercial, the math is not going to work like you want it to 9 out of 10 times, because the company's budget doesn't support the math. Like, if you go up to the building and it's this giant warehouse and you do the math and you think you're going to charge them $55,000 for a building wash, I think you can win that. And I'm not saying you should be cheap. I'm just saying you need to understand that it's okay to bid, $40,000 if you can do it in 2 days or whatever. I mean, I'm not, like, be realistic about it. Like, that's like football stadiums. Like, football stadiums are big ticket washes, But if it's a small stadium, you're not charging the same as for like Neyland Stadium in Tennessee or whatever. Like there's a difference, you know. Like I've quoted football stadiums in Texas, and they were different, and some of the expectations were different. And I think that even if you take an L, if you have a decent report and you lose the bid, you can ask, be like, hey, do you mind if I ask what the winning bid was? And sometimes you're going to hear a price that you're going to go, I would not do that, and that's okay. Yeah. But it's an education point of like, that's just not for me, and I can't sustain that. But what if it was $1,000 below what you bid, and you're like, okay, I was close.
Yeah, you got to ask for refusal. Like, ask them like, hey, what was it, or what are you going to go with? So, like you said, if it is $1,000, well, shoot, I'll take $1,000. Can we do it next
year or whatever? The next time the bid goes up, you put that in your notes of your estimate and go, the winning bid was X. And, or whatever. I mean, those are the little things you can do to kind of like arm yourself to go back and win. There's a local washer. He's taught me a whole lot. His name is Craig McGee. He stayed on a local college for 10 years, sending him a courtesy email every year, just seeing if you're looking for a bid. Big national company was just knocking this project out of the park every year. And then the 10th year, they let their insurance lapse or something in Texas, like their franchise in Texas lapsed. And which is weird to me because typically you're insured anywhere for a little short period of time. But anyway, it got to the point where the college was like, nope, they didn't even bid it. They didn't post it. They called Craig and said, please submit a bid. He did. He's in, new contract. And I think he's already cleaned it 2 years now. Nice. But he had stayed engaged and took that L and was just like, whatever, I'm going to fire off a yearly email. And now it's probably his biggest ticket cleaning item. And if it's not, don't quote, I'm sorry for, I don't know your stuff, but I know the college is not small.
Well, these are pro buyers.
One more question about sales be on here. Is it for the new guys in the game or the guys that have been in the industry for a while? And honestly, it's for both. Again, you're coming into Sales Boost with a different mentality every year. The first year guys, you're going to get a ton of value out of it. I mean, there's so much coming in at once with all the speakers coming in there. And then again, for the season guys, now we're thinking about our business at a different level, at a different phase in the business. So we're going to be thinking completely different process. I mean, last year, Pat, you had Wesley Bloom there, John Kay there, Ramon Jones there. Some of these guys doing 7 figures in there, along with guys just starting in the industry. So there's no differentiator like, hey, I should come here when I'm in year 2. Come in there.
If you're new in the industry and you want to get top, tactics, systems, like it's a no-brainer, dude. If I can show up in the room and I'm new, heck yeah, I want to talk to millionaires. I want to know what they're doing, and then I want to implement as fast as I can because you're going to cut that learning curve down by years.
I mean, and like Pat, how long you been doing this?
18 years.
And you're a 7-figure earner, and you brought that from zero.
Yeah, we just did under 5 million last year.
Right. There is not a single washer out here that wouldn't trade places with you to do that, except maybe anybody above 5 million. But I bet there's some guys at 4 that would trade to do just under 4 or 5. So my advice to anybody that's on the fence about attending any conference, if you have the time and the money, you should do it. That's it. If you have the time and the money, you should do it. And like for, and I've never attended Sales Boost. I'm not affiliated with Conquer. I am peers with JC and Pat. I'm here because when we talked about this, they said, hey, would you be interested in hopping on here with us? I said, yeah. And my response was, you help a lot of people. I'm happy to help you. So don't think I'm plugging this. If you want to go sit with somebody in a small venue and have the opportunity to network, there's guys that now own conferences like the Huge that started by attending them, met somebody that changed their mentality and changed their business model. So I think that's what you're shooting for, is the opportunity to take away some stuff that helps you. But there's also the chance that like you come out of there and you're skyrocketing. And, like Nick Staten is a good example to me. He goes to Apex and they're, basically coaching him and it's a conference and stuff. And he raves about it. He doesn't sell their course. He's never posted links. He just talks about how much it helps him. And I use him as an example because it's separate from this. But he said in his own words, I was lost and my head was spinning, and I went to this thing and it put me in the right direction. So I feel like if you have the time and the money and you feel like you need that extra step, because it's not hard to wash a house, it's not hard to answer the phone, it's not hard to close the house wash that you know backwards and forwards, but you don't know how to make the phone ring enough to close the 3 months booked up, and you're losing clients because you're booked up, maybe it's time to go talk to somebody that does do it. And that's why I've always plugged Pat, is because I didn't have to know him to go, man, this is the guy you should go talk to. His results are just facts. It's history. It's been done. And that's why I tell people, there's posts on my timeline. This is months ago. And Pat and I, we've spoken at a conference together. And to me, it was one of the coolest things I've ever done, because I don't consider myself a public speaker. I mean, I'm not saying I couldn't do it. I've never put any training or effort into it. And watching some of these guys that really are educated public speakers just crush it is super cool, because it's a talent and it's a skill and it's something that they've honed. Those are the guys that are going to teach you how to do stuff. You're going to see somebody that is a professional public speaker talk to you. That alone ought to educate you. Because you talk about door knocking, there's guys that are really good at it, and they've educated themselves on that one-on-one relationship. Well, if you want to get up into the 7 figures, you're probably going to need to talk to more than one-on-one people occasionally. So maybe that's a skill that I would take from that. And I think that it's okay to not be good at stuff. That's what somebody told me. They're like, hey, you need to work on your public speaking. I'm like, I'm not a public speaker, brother. And I agree with you 100%. It's constructive criticism and it was said with love, but it's like, I don't want to be a public speaker. I mean, I get it, Yeah. That's why I refer people to JC and to Pat. People ask me all the time about Christmas stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm not the one. Same thing with sales. Somebody was like, you are that guy. I'm like, no, I haven't reached 7-figure sales. Yeah. You have reached way past that, and you're still going to be there at this one, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's like, and we had talked a little bit about JC, and JC, you've run 2 companies in the 7-figure sales, right?
Washing, we were shy of it, but lights, yes. I lost my passion for the washing, but we have been very, very successful in our industry. We're in a very small area. I think we have about 250, 300,000 in our community.
But you're almost at 7 figures washing in an area of 300,000 people.
Yeah, we hit over 7 in lights alone, though.
Well, yeah, but that's the washing at almost 7 figures to me in that area is crazy, because I think that it's a little bit, in my limited experience, it's easier to get a higher ticket lights than it is higher ticket washing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So that's my opinion about guys on the fence about Sales Boost or any conference. The networking is phenomenal. I wouldn't have met Pat face to face in a small environment if we hadn't spoke together. And the worst thing about that experience to me was that I got sick and wiped out.
I needed that, man. Yeah, I was like, dude, I get to hang out with you.
The worst trip of my life, when just died. Like, I was actually worried I was like, are they gonna medevac me home? Like, am I gonna be able to survive? But anyway, but getting to meet him and all the other speakers that I got to meet was the best part of the trip. Same with Huge. Yeah. I feel like having gone to the Huge and sat through as many classes as I could and spread out my entire company and let them go to any speakers they wanted. I've done the VIP thing, and I've been a vendor where I was doing the vendor thing the whole time, and I got to hear no speakers, but there was no bad experience. The whole thing was awesome. And the only reason I didn't go last year is we withdrew from everything just to take a break and to just focus on the stores, and we opened 1 million stores. But I just can't say this enough. Like, the networking is the key. And people ask me, like, how do you do commercial? I'm like, networking. Mm-hmm. If you show up and you meet Pat, who's all over the place, and you have a conversation and you're like, yeah, I'm at 2 or 3 rigs and I've really got my stuff squared away. I'm just trying to break through the next level. hopefully you get a lot of data from that, and he gives you some tools. But the separate thing is, it's about how you carry yourself. There's a really good chance that Pat's like, oh no, I need help, and I'm maxed out. I'm going to bring in a company. That happens all the time. I don't know if you guys quantify it, but I know that in 2022, I had over 6 figures put in my pocket by other contractors for sure. And in 2023 was the same way for calling me to combine on stuff.
Yep.
So multiple reasons to do this. It's not just the Pats and the JCs that are there. It's how many people are at a table in Sales Boost?
At the tables?
Yeah.
I think it was like 8. I think we have.
So if you bring somebody, there's 6 other people that you can network with. And even if all those people bring their wife, there's 4 other people that you can network with, 4 companies, so at the table. So there's, 3 other companies at the table going to be there. Massive. That I tell people in anything I'm at, like if you don't get the numbers of the people sitting next to you, I think you failed.
And that's one of the other things we're doing too, is we don't want people getting comfortable. We're really going to try and switch it up. So if you do bring somebody, you're not going to sit with your team member, because if you do bring a salesperson or a technician, they're often going to get like kind of shut down and just want to be quiet and maybe listen. But if you break off and put them at different tables, then they're going to be more open to want to talk to people and get some more information.
The boss isn't sitting there to answer every question.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're going to switch up the tables too throughout the days over there. So you're mingling different people. You're not going to sit there and just get comfortable and just meet one person. That's why it's important to go there and be intentional. Like, hey, I want to go there. I want to shake hands with Pat. I want to talk to Matt Clark. I want to talk to Michael Gregory. I want to talk to these people. Make sure you go there and do it. Don't just be a fly in the corner. It's like, well, what if they don't want to talk to me? If I said that about Pat Clark 3-4 years ago when I called him on like a Wednesday, or like a Wednesday, it was in January, I messaged him on Facebook. I said to myself, Pat has no time for me. Pat had all the time in the world for me that day. And if it wasn't for that phone call, I wouldn't have gone to Sales Boost 2 months later. I wouldn't have joined Conquer a month later. I wouldn't have grown my company. I wouldn't have hired. I wouldn't have scaled. I would have just been stuck in that same mindset that JC can do it all. So we can't sit there and say like, I can't, I won't. It's I will, and I have to, for my legacy, for my family, for my company.
And you have to learn from others. And I think everybody learns differently, but one of the things that I learned last year was if you don't give your people a chance to succeed. I had 2 companies. One of them, like I talked about public, it train wrecked. I mean, the washing side suffered so bad. It's back on track, but that was a good example of like I let it go too far and I wasn't watching it. And the store, which is not even close to the same beast. I mean, it's a 8-headed hydra at this point. It's never, it is what it is. But that is far busier for me. And I just was like, I'm leaving. And my team was like, okay. There's no panic. They were just like, okay. Now I stayed in touch, and I have a VP who's wildly talented. That right there is the key. But I said, are you glad I'm gone, or you miss me? And she said both. And I laughed. I said, that's about the answer I expected. She goes, but I'm very grateful that like you're still working remotely. She's like, I know nobody else in the company really sees what you're doing, but I know how much pressure you're taking off me by staying engaged. Whereas you could just turn your phone off for 6 weeks, but you're choosing not to do that. And I said, nah, like I'm not trying to do that, but you have to step away or it will never change. And that's where I think that you have the ability to take everything you've learned, step into a new venture maybe, which is what JC did with the lights. And then you turn all of your knowledge into a bigger earner. And Pat, you stayed with it, but like when was the turning point when you started expanding a lot?
Yeah, that was really when we started the Charlotte branch, and I kind of saw that like there was other opportunity and we needed to expand because the one branch was doing really well. And like you said, you know what I mean? It's like, why am I here? Like sometimes I would come in, I'm like, shoot, what am I supposed to do? Right. And so we expanded to Charlotte, and then we learned a lot of things in Charlotte. And I said, we're on to something. We have, we always say like, build it like McDonald's, but run it like Chick-fil-A. We had a model. And with the sales boost and like how we were doing the sales, we had a model. And so we really started expanding. And right then and there was like 2014. And then we started putting locations on.
So JC, I'll go as long as you want. We've been on an hour and a half, but I didn't mean to talk. You guys don't invite me to stuff. I'll talk too much.
No, this is great. I mean, the engagement with the audience is absolutely incredible, and I'm so appreciative of everybody that's asking these questions. About sales. This is what we need. This is what we need in the industry is people to get out there and do these things like you're doing, Heath, by creating the audience for people to come here and feel comfortable to do it because. Sadly, Facebook, most of these groups, you get on there, you ask a question, it's like 70 people just knocking you down. But
we try to eliminate that.
Oh, I know, and
yeah, man, it's tough. Like you just see, like from the admin side of it, it's just like holy crap.
Yeah,
there's some blood debts. Like I got people that I should actually make a list and be like, hey, there's a holy war. I'm gonna send you to it. Like you pick a side. We're gonna. You got this. Like you are the guy that's gonna immediately make a difference. Like there's some. My favorite thing is the buy sell groups. There's nothing worse than that. Like
I moderate one of them, and oh my god,
buy sell groups.
Yeah, it's like a full-time job.
I'd say that the groups are growing rapidly, and I think the industry is still growing, but. My favorite thing is to see guys when I talk to them and they're like, oh, I want to get on your level. I'm like, dude, you want to surpass my level. You want to run.
That's what I tell people all the time. Yeah. You can do way better.
I'm like, look, there's guys doing 7 figures washing. They're like, what? I'm like, there's $10 million companies out there. They're like, what? I'm like, no, I'm not, the numbers change revenue. I want to say there was a $10 million guy that was answering questions on a regular post yesterday or the day before, which I thought was super cool because he was very low key about it and he's like, yeah, I'm a $10 million company. And somebody goes, what's your revenue? And he's like, oh, I pay myself a salary, but our profit margin total was like 7%. And they were like, what? And he's like, I'm perfectly fine with a 7% profit on top of my salary, which you didn't ask what that was, and he's not going to disclose it. But it's like, come on, like let's do some math here. And like I'm sure that guy's salary is fine.
Yeah,
but that's good business because like if your profit margin is insane, what are you doing at the end of the year? Are you just buying a new fleet to avoid the massive tax hit? Yeah. I mean, you want to do everything completely above board, but like. Taxes are part of business and you have to have your head wrapped around that because, it's back to like drowning in leads. If you drown in profit, you're just going to lose it or, massive hit. Yeah. And states play a factor in that too. There's always the federal, but
I love paying taxes because that means, guess what? We're making money.
Right. And I don't have a problem with it. And I think you see a lot of other industries are very good at it, especially farmers and stuff. At the end of the year, they're buying massive equipment to avoid, paying taxes, and they kind of stay that way. And I didn't understand it before I was a business owner. There's this guy. He's like, "Yeah, I just bought an 80,000 F-250 dually." I'm like, "What? Like, what?
Dang.
Why? You live in a 100,000 person town. I don't know. I didn't understand now." And it's always in December. It's always in December.
Yep.
And you're like, what? Like those are the key things that or you need to like incorporate.
Yeah.
Tax attorneys, CPAs will help you. Do you guys talk about?
Last year, Heath, we had Dave, which is our financial advisor. He was at Sales Boost last year. And so he helps you with that kind of stuff, right? Like what you need to do at the end of the year or before you even get to the end of the year. And there's a lot of things you can do. Like they used to have a tax credit for the trucks. They're actually taking that away now. But there's different things that are changing and evolving, obviously. But like getting a good, tax attorney. These are people you need to have. So your CPA is great, right? But a tax attorney will help you in even more, right? And
100%.
You'll level up.
And you'll pay more. But and I know 7-figure wash companies that have an attorney on retainer.
Yep.
Just because they're just like I I don't want to get caught by surprise, and I'm rolling with these big $250,000 projects, and I need legal counsel that can answer a question and not have to train wreck the whole process. So it's something to keep in mind too. I've had a lot of what I say personally. I'll be the first to say this. I was extremely lucky to be befriended by people that were vastly more experienced than I was in this industry. And that is a big part of where I'm at. And whether or not I feel like I'm successful, it's the networking and the relationships and the friendships and the learning and the willingness to learn. And, you know, and man, I could always be better at all that. But like, you know, being open-minded about stuff, you know, not everybody, you know, has your best interest at heart, but that's, you know, if somebody just wants to talk shop with you, who knows what you're going to learn. Like, be open to it. That was massive for me. And I think that that's what allowed me to step into a vendor role, is because I had relationships with other vendors at a different, you know, like I was a contractor, but then I was interacting with them outside of a contractor role before I was a vendor. And now we have that, like, let's all work together mentality. And I think that contractors washing and Christmas lights, you can work together on big projects. And if you have that mentality of like being approachable and being professional and like, you know, you have all your stuff lined up, it can really, really help you go in the right direction.
Yeah.
There is just absolutely no place to fight somebody or to hold grudges with business. It's like, I'm busy. You can hold my grudge too.
Yeah.
Is it going to make you money? Let's hope. Like, I'm not betting on it. Like, I'm not betting on it, but like, that's the back to like, just the, you're not going to get where you are by yourself. JC, what year did you talk to Pat?
2019.
So 4 years ago, 4.
Yeah, 4 year. Yeah, well,
Just 5.
yeah, 5.
This is
now,
your
yeah.
5.
Yeah.
In that 5 years, well, really 4 full years, and we're starting year 5. How long did it take you to turn the corner and really see a huge change in what you implemented?
It was instant. I mean, literally, I'm not even like, I went all in with what Pat told me. I went to Sales Boost. I talked to him in January. Sales Boost was March. I joined Conquer in February, and like truly invested in my team. We started hiring. We hired sales, admin, technicians. I let go of the reins. I trusted my team. And I just had the PowerPoint up of what my sales looked like, but it was explosive growth, especially in the Christmas lights. I think I went from like $75,000 to $225,000 that first year. Washing, it was probably like $150,000 increase there. But it was.
So year 1, just in the 9 months that you really started after Sales Boost, because you had that conversation in January, and then you went and joined Conquer in February, so you had very little time to get into it. And then you attended a conference. And then after those 3 things occurred, 9 months, you increased your sales factually by $225,000.
Yeah, from 75 to 225, I think it was. Yeah, in lights alone.
Well, you said between the two, you upped to 150 and then 75. So that was a $225,000 increase.
Yes.
With the sales
yeah,
boost?
somewhere around there. But yeah, it was. But
like the sales boost.
It's a no-brainer.
What are the dates?
Yes.
March 20th to 23rd, Wilmington, North Carolina. Heath. So what I just did, and we haven't done this for anybody yet, just because your audience is incredible. If you could post this afterward, I just made you a coupon, and the coupon code is Heath, and the viewers can go on there. We've only given a $300 discount for anybody. We're going to do a $400 discount from now till Sunday for anybody who uses the coupon code Heath. It's the biggest discount ever, but your audience was like so engaging, so captivating. We want to make sure they get the sales boost. We know it's a high ticket conference to go to, but we have 22 action-packed speakers just delivering value. You know, you got the intimate conference setting, hot meals for breakfast and lunch, the networking that's going to go on all 3.5 days, really, because you're coming in Wednesday and leaving Sunday. So there's so much value that you can implement while you're there. Leave, go back. Spring is right around the corner, and start making your money back like instantaneously. So we'd love to see everybody there. So if they use code Heath, they'll get a $400 discount. Hopefully it works. I had to do it. We usually have a team to do it, but I was like, I just want this to work, so we're going to make it happen. So if they use that code by Sunday will be the cutoff. They get a $400 discount to Sales Boost.
I'll go back and post it in all the titles of the posts everywhere. Yeah. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this, because there's definitely they were doing this, and they let me sit in, and like I said, I got to learn a whole lot. I hope everybody did. I've never sat on a live and taken notes, so if you saw me looking down a lot, shamelessly, don't care. Like happily, I'd say for sure I'm going to be at Sales Boost, but I just committed to go out of the country on my birthday, which is March 16th. So
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I have to make those sacrifices
for somebody. Yeah, you're sacrificing a seat for somebody else to show up, because we only have a limited amount of seats. So.
Yeah, what somebody asked me just about travel. They said, "Why are you traveling so much?" I said, "Well, I did 20 years in the Navy. I did travel a little bit there. I've been to a lot of countries. But I said, I'm really in love in what I'm doing, and I feel engaged. But I also, Pat, how old are you?
I'm 38.
JC?
42.
I turned 44 in March. I don't feel old, but man, it's not crazy to say that if you're doing a countdown, we just hit T-minus 30 for the average lifespan. So to me, and I don't worry about it, I don't think about it, but for the first time ever in 2023, I was like, wait, mathematically, I'm on the back end. I was like, yeah, okay, I feel the clock ticking, not in a bad way. But I had a 49-year-old, very successful guy in my office, and he asked me, we're friends. He goes, what's all this all of a sudden? I mean, you've always traveled, but it just like you just hit it in 23. And I said, I felt the clock ticking. And I said, so it was a twofer. I had to get my businesses to the point where they could do what I needed them to do so I could still be engaged and work remotely, which is awesome. And, I think transparency, if you're married and you're going to travel, you need to have clear expectations before you do it. I'm not married, but even with my friends I travel with, I'm like, hey, I'm going to work on XYZ. And if you want to do this activity, I'm not going to go, or I'm going to block this day off and I'm going to do everything that day. So I think those clear expectations to travel were key for me. But, I think that it forced me to make sure that my team could function without me, which is good because, what I don't want to see any of my employees not succeed if something terrible happens out of my control, like the plane door flies off, because we've seen that happen twice. And the screws aren't in the wings of the plane. Like, you don't know. I mean, but you want to build something that lasts. And I think that somebody asked me this week, they said, now that you're back, are you happy? I said, yeah, I love being here. I wish I could be in 10 places at once, maybe more, and I cause more chaos. But I said the coolest thing, because I think things kind of change for you personally as you grow and things start becoming numbers. The coolest thing for me is employees that bought their first house.
Yes.
I didn't think that would matter so much to me, but it's like owning a business. That's one of the, I'd say, easily top 3 biggest accomplishments that I can personally say is that I had somebody that worked for me buy their first house ever, and more than one person. And that was really cool because, AC Lockyer talks about this, about how many people they're helping. And I think that's going to be harder for you guys to pull data for, but if you could talk to some people that have been to Sales Boost and to pull some of that data, even if they gave you a rough number on what their sales increased, I just think that would be cool to know. It's probably shocking, especially if you have dramatically increased sales. Just such a powerful number when you look at how many people you can affect without realizing it, because, we're all doing what we're going to do and you want to help as many people as you can help. But I think that if you look back and you go, what?
Yeah.
Like one of my clients this year, he did like 200,000 his first year, and he's already signed $600,000 in contracts washing. And I'm like, I'm really proud of you. And he's like, yeah, we were close. And I'm like, yeah, dude, this is so exciting. And he's like, yeah, I just want to get big like you. I'm like, hey, newsflash, you've just signed more contracts than I did this in my third year. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, you've lapped me in washing. And he's like, huh? I'm like, yeah, this is the coolest thing. And but anyway, that's what
it's all about, man. Bringing them in. And we do have a lot of those stories. Actually, on Community with Closers coming up, we're going to have a guy that went from 168 to 684.
Jeez.
Yeah. So there's a lot of those cool things that comes out of it. And so it's just an honor and a blessing too. Like you said, you know what I mean? To see people do that. And it's like you coach these guys and then they surpass you. And that's what you want, right? That's what you want.
All right. Anything else before we wrap it up?
That was it. I do want to add real quick at Sales Boost, I'm going to be teaching the commercial class. We're going to be doing a building walk around. We're going to be talking about the P cards, the purchase card. We're going to be talking about how to get that money for the commercial work. We're super excited to just share what we learned throughout the whole process of doing, 100+ contracts. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really excited to see everybody there. JC, this guy executes, man. And like he said, when he did those numbers, he executed, and that's what he did on Sales Boost this year. And it's going to be an amazing time. So I'm really excited to see everybody there. And Heath, thanks again, man, for having us. It was a pleasure, dude.
Heath, yeah, you're a blessing. Pat, thanks for just being so vulnerable and sharing all everything you got with everybody consistently throughout the years. And if it wasn't for you, again, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm so grateful and honored to be carrying that torch for you in the Sales Boost this year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, dude, I was excited when I saw the dudes. Congrats. So appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care, guys.